On Blues Radio International, we're here at the 2023 Blues Music Awards in Memphis with the president of the Blues Foundation, Kimberly Horton. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure for us. We all benefit from the fact that the Blues Foundation is under your stewardship, and we know this has been a year for you getting adjusted and new. How's it been taking over the helm of the foundation?
It's been fun. It's been interesting. I came in running. I mean, when I first came to Memphis, I didn't even have a place to stay. I just came here and started working. I mean, came in running because I came in right in the middle of IBC planning. So I didn't have time to get adjusted. I still haven't had time to get adjusted, but it's been a ride, but I've enjoyed every bit of it. So my son and I are finally feeling like, okay, this is home. This is where we live. So it's finally leveling out a little bit.
That's great. What were the biggest challenges for you in undertaking this job?
Finding the dead bodies that I didn't want to find, and coming up with a plan to fix how to fix it. Not knowing what all was messed up or what was torn up or what needed to be fixed. That was the biggest thing. Just not knowing I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't know what I was getting into. But it's all been taken in stride and in love of what it is and what we do. So I've enjoying every bit of it and just moving with it.
Well, part of this job is obviously running the foundation and keeping the two signature events, the International Blues Challenge and the Blues Music Awards, up and running. But after that, we've got to look toward the future. And where do you see the future of the foundation and its role with this music?
You're right. We got to look to the future. Well, one of my big goals is to get more young people involved with the foundation to take us to the next level of stewardship in the blues, because if we don't have them, I know you and I talked about this briefly, if we don't have the younger generation involved, where will we be? I want to get more young people of color involved so that they can learn to appreciate, their history, their heritage. So I see us, in the future of being a still very strong foundation, still a very strong entity, but maybe larger, with other outlets to help more in the community. And, we help a lot now, but I see us being in a broader spectrum because we will have a different outlook of things. We want to come up to the future of things, do things or have things in the museum that will attract the younger people to come. And that's something that I am actively working on right now.
What are the ways do you think we can get people interested who aren't introduced to the blues? Because the blues seems like a vestige of the past to some people, or something that has no relevance today. How do you communicate that?
There again, the young people. My son is 16, and he's able to explain to his peers, what the blues is, why the blues is, and the way we have to do things at the level of their understanding so that they will understand. So I would be happy to do what my son does. Hey, that music you're listening to, or that line that you just heard, do you know that came from Muddy Waters' song? Or do you know that came from Howlin' Wolf's song? And they may not know who Muddy Waters is or who Howlin' Wolf is, but at that point it strikes the interest for them to go find out who they are. And that's kind of how it starts. So I know that blues education is key. Bringing back the blues in the school program, bringing back other outlets that will bring the younger generation interested in what we are, and helping them to understand what Willie Dixon said, the blues is the roots, everything else is the fruit. So being able to teach them how that correlates to what they listen to now and what they're doing now will have a way of give them a better understanding of what it is and how they got to where they are.
You've represented blues musicians and you've had involvement in this community before coming to this job, which gives you a unique perspective. And how do you think the world has moved with artists in the blues community since the pandemic? That threw everyone off their game. We had to recalibrate so many things. what's
Yes.
going on with the musicians, and what's the role of the foundation in helping them?
Oh my gosh, we have been able to help so many through the Heart Fund. At the time, we had the COVID-19 Relief Fund, which is no longer. We are currently operating that as the Blues Musicians Emergency Relief Fund now. So with everyone being out of work, including the Blues Foundation, we were able to help people keep their homes, help them keep their lights on, help them keep their cars. So now that they are back kind of sort of working regularly, a lot of those musicians have turned around and given back to the Heart Fund. They've turned around and given back to Generation Blues, so that kind of like paying it forward so they can help the next musician. So we seem to be going back in the right direction. I mean, COVID isn't gone anywhere, but we're in a place now where we can at least, see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit now.
What do you think is the picture longer term for how you're going to develop this broader audience? I mean, it's a great plan. It's what we need. The demographic is not a positive one. We've got not a young population necessarily that comprises our core blues fans. And what do you see as the path to bringing us to a point where we've got, beyond our blues in the schools, actually getting musicians on the stage and getting people in the seats here at the Blues Music Awards who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s?
I am looking to develop an artist ambassador program, which will give those artists entitlement to go out and recruit for the Blues Foundation. So many musicians don't even know we exist. So if they get it from say Sip or Johnny Rawls, or and they won't be one age bracket of artists. We're going to go from Dylan Triplett up to the oldest somebody that's out there. So that way we'll reach all audiences, all demographics. So that's the one big thing I am looking to launch here pretty soon that will help bring awareness. We're going to have to change some things at the foundation as well, but the long-term goals of changes and bringing more technology in, more interesting things in, to where they will, more interactive things that will attract the younger. I mean, because they're playing games, so they want to. If we bring it down to where they can understand it, or something that they can interact with to learn, we can grow. We can grow the community.
Yeah, it seems like the short form, as far as technology and getting the information out, it's, the TikToks, the Reels, those first 15 to 30 seconds.
So crucial.
And I used to scoff at it. I used to think that, that's not what we do. We're documentarians. We give people the full package. Well, I realized there's two sides to that there's the historical portion of it, where everything is saved for posterity in the highest possible way, and then there's the social aspect. And separating those two is something that I've done here for Blues Radio International, and it seems to be working as far as getting that interaction with the younger crowd.
Yep. And
I've noticed that those numbers, as far as like that, say like 18 to 45 group, it's 16% of, the people that consume our stuff, but it's better than the 3% that we had a couple of years ago. So I've noticed that is something that we've sort of latched onto to get the blues message out. And I'm curious, like, what is a situation that you've had where you've had to explain what the Blues Foundation is and what it does, and you've maybe enlightened someone about its mission?
Every time somebody says, "Hey, you left Jackson, what are you doing now?" "Oh, I'm running the Blues Foundation." "What is that? What do y'all do?" Quite frequently. So I'm constantly explaining what the Blues Foundation is, who we are, why we're there, why we're here. Because like I said, so people don't know we exist. There are people right here in Memphis that don't know we exist. We just had some folks come in the museum a couple of weeks ago, and they said, "We didn't even know this was here. I've been in Memphis 40 years. I didn't even know this place was here." So I am constantly this is what we do. We're preserving the heritage and the history of the blues. We are giving musicians the Lifetime Achievement Award of being inducted into the Real Blues Hall of Fame. We are teaching younger musicians what life is in the music industry. I mean, I just go on and on and on, and we never knew that existed. You know, we're not as big as some of the other foundations, but we're here and we're growing, going upward and onward and forward. So it's like every time I tell somebody where I work, I'm explaining. If they aren't in the blues community, I'm explaining who we are, what I am, what I do, you know. So
how would you describe the Blues Museum, the Blues History Museum that's at the Blues Foundation office? How would you describe that to someone who had no idea what it was like?
The first thing I tell them is I love going to work every day because I love looking at what I look at every day.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, I love it. So I tell everybody it's like you have to experience it. Walking down that hallway, looking at things, artifacts that belong to people that we really look up to or we really like. I love Howlin' Wolf. So just knowing, oh my gosh, this is the suitcase that he carried, or this is the hat Muddy wore, or it's just, I tell them all the time, you have to come see it. You don't know what you're missing. There's so much history that's just right there. And I love it. So I can sell it to anybody because I love it. I love going to work every day. So that's why I told you I run down the hall. I'm like, wow, I love this. I mean, it's just, I love it.
It gets your blood pumping in many, many various ways.
Yes.
And that's an exciting thing when you can go to your job and have a mission, but still manage to smile.
Yes.
And keep it as low stress as possible. I know that there's no job that's devoid of stress, but it's good stress.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You're bringing, you know, something to the world that is essential.
Yes. And it's just knowing that, you know, it's here. It's here. I'm here. We're here. And to be able to live in it and feel it, and I just love all of it. So when I tell them like that, they, I gotta come check that out, you know. So I actually had somebody come in Monday, bumped into in the mall, and they were like, what? And I was telling them about it, and it was like, they actually came.
They came down, huh?
They came, and they was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been missing this, you know, because each little case has so much history. You know, it's maybe a small display, but the history in that small display, or why that display is there, just learning that, or listening to, you know, the reels that are playing, or pushing the buttons on the interactives that we have now. It's just wonderful. It's a great education tool.
I was just imagining, like, say you met your friend in the mall,
Mm-hmm.
and in the mall they have these vignettes. They have the dealers with the little carts and
Exactly.
things. Maybe have some pop-up Blues Foundation museum artifacts, like in the mall, like say for like a weekend, and like that could be really interesting, especially like to get on the radar of the young people, because they're like, wow, look at that. And I'm just imagining that like
That's
all sorts of cool things
idea.
like that could or even if it was like a video, like that could be really cool. Like I'm imagining you like standing there explaining like what the full-blown museum is like. And I'm excited to hear some of your ideas that you have for the foundation.
And the videos are coming.
Okay. Yeah.
Those videos are coming. That's something that we had talked about doing. I was on the board. I've been on the board twice for the Blues Foundation. So that's something that we did talk about doing. And of course, COVID hit, so it didn't get done. But we are getting ready to pick that up, to do the little short snippet videos to, you know, bring awareness and give blues education to the public regarding the Blues Foundation.
They need it if they don't even know it.
Yes.
It's like if you build it, they will come.
Yes, exactly.
I absolutely believe in that 100%.
And that is absolutely true, because we have a great presence, but we don't have the presence that we have the potential to have. So I've been able to get some great relationships with other museums, and they're supporting us, we're supporting them, and it's it's made a lot of a difference. So, you know, the collaboration is important. So you can't do it all by yourself. You have to have some type of partnership, some type of collaboration. And those partnerships and collaborations have been great. And continuing to build them so that we can continue to spread awareness of us being at 421 South Main Street.
Yes, that's thank goodness you're there. Those are the exact words I was going to use: collaborative and partnership.
Yes.
What do you think is the most important reason that people should become a member of the Blues Foundation? It's not that expensive. It's an easy thing to do, and it supports the music and the musicians. But if you had to explain to someone in a few words, what would be the main point?
I would help them to understand that they would be part of making history, and that is preserving the history of the history. And then, too, being a member, you are helping another musician. Unfortunately, so many musicians don't have health insurance. They don't have burial insurance, and we've taken care of so many of those things. So when we explain to them, hey, you can help the Heart Fund, you can help Generation Blues, you can help, help get us, take us to the next level of getting technology into the museum. Normally, when those things come up, it's a done deal, because I sold like 53 memberships in one day from my phone. So it's like when I talk to them and I get them out, because I'm excited about it. So it kind of
it's
rubs
contagious.
off on me. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So they're like, we want you. Yeah, we want to do it. So they do it. So memberships are really growing. They've grown tremendously in this last 7 months.
Well, that's great. We want to thank you for all the great work you've done. We know this is a very busy day. It's the most important night of the blues in the year that we've got coming up with the Blues Music Awards.
Yes. Well, tonight's important too.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame induction.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So we look forward to these great events and continuing onward. What's the mission for the next 12 months for you?
Well, I'm going to make some changes. But the mission seriously is to take us to the next level, We want to grow and become a larger entity than what we are, get some different things going on so that we can have, a bigger, better, brighter presence, to the community, not just the blues community, but as a whole, to the community as a whole. And not just here in Memphis, because we aren't just Memphis. I mean, we are international. We want to make a bigger presence everywhere.
Well, thank you, Kimberly, for joining us on Blues Radio International.
Thank you.
Thank you for your stewardship of the Blues Foundation. We know it's in good hands, and we look forward to seeing you at the Blues Hall of Fame inductions and the Blues Music Awards.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.